Hi Aries, welcome to your October 2017 General Tarot reading. It's Rena here. So in October, on the 5th, you're going to have a full moon in your sign. So what will that mean, Aries? Are you changing your ways in some way? Are you letting go of old patterns? Are you moving on in some area? I guess we will see what happens, won't we? That's Aries for you. That's definitely a card I associate with Aries. I'm picking a card from the Earth Magic deck. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Five of Wands. So this is about, at first I was thinking it was about you and a spouse, or, a partner just kind of going at it and not getting along. This is a general focus, so it can be in any area. But then when I got the Knight of Pentacles as the past position, I was thinking more of the workplace, of a dog-eat-dog environment where everybody is trying to vie for a particular position or step over other people to get ahead. And for an Aries person, you're very competitive. The one thing with Aries is that they do not like underhanded behavior or backstabbing in order to get what they want, but they can be extremely competitive and aggressive in trying to do what it takes. And usually this is about exerting power or energy. Fire signs can be very can-do, especially a cardinal sign like Aries, which is very independent in their behavior, capable of doing things without being told what to do, taking the initiative. That's the term I was looking for. And so that can impress people that are in that, supervisory position, because they typically seem to respect most the people who are independent workers. I feel that Aries people are better off in many cases working for themselves than to work in a subordinate position, simply because of this ability to be a self-starter. And it can get very frustrating sometimes when you have to go through some channels to make things happen, when you just, and especially since you're impatient, you just want to see the results right away. And when you work for yourself, you can control what you do. You have that ability to, if you want to work X amount of hours, you do it, and you really apply yourself. But there are certain circumstances and certain types of jobs that you may be great at, but you can't do them by yourself. So, for instance, being a teacher, being a, you know what I mean, where you have that kind of communal environment. So it's just not, it's not going to be the case for everybody that's how it works out. But in the past position, we have the Knight of Pentacles. This can be you really buckling down, and you may even have a specific goal that you're saving money for, because this is about amassing a large amount of money, or, let's just say a lot of money in a consistent manner. So this card is connected to Taurus, so it speaks to that kind of behavior. Fixed earth, where it's something, it's almost like what do you call it? I woke up, it's still morning, and I'm just trying to get my thoughts together. Like a bulldozer, like just going after something and being, over and over doing it to get what you want. And, the thing about the Knight of Pentacles, talking about that Taurian energy, is that there's a consistency as well as endurance, the long haul. Aries people are great at starting things, but you tend to get very bored easily. And so once something becomes a pattern, a way of life, you want to go and just go in a different direction. So you may start a whole bunch of projects and never finish them, but perhaps you have found a place where you feel like you fit in, even if it's combative, even if there's a lot of competition, you may actually enjoy it or feel stimulated by it. If it was something where you just had this cushy job and it was you didn't have to prove yourself, you might get bored a lot sooner. That's the irony of it. So whereas other people would see the Five of Wands as being something upsetting, you might find it energizing, actually. Now, in personal relationships, some of you may have fallen in love with a man who was a Taurus, or that kind of behavior, mentality of the earth, just kind of plodding along. And this person is very diligent, but they're not necessarily very inventive, very exciting. And the card right now, but there's and maybe that caused conflict within the relationship, because especially if it was a Taurus person, they may be a couch potato and you like to go out and do things, go hiking, be active, and you feel frustrated that they're, just kind of very sedentary, but you both may have a physical kind of attraction for one another. This is a card connected with Sagittarius, so maybe you're going from a Taurus to a Sagittarius. Now, in terms of work situations, the Temperance card is talking about a balance, and also if you see, she has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on land. So it's always about balancing the spiritual with the material. So when somebody is working, they're never so cutthroat that they are willing to betray their morals. They do something that is underhanded in order to gain ground and curry favor with somebody. That they're always above board. And that you never so in the clouds and on this spiritual trip that you are not practical, that you're not seeing that there are two sides to life. Because it was really freeing for me, Aries, I don't know where I heard this. I read and watch so much, but someone was saying, like a spiritual teacher was saying, we're here for a reason. We're here on this earth plane for a reason. So in other words, it's so typical to deny the earth or the material world in favor of the spiritual dimension. And to kind of whether it's saying, I'm not going to involve myself with anything that has to do with worldly possessions or anything like that. Career-wise, I can't have a career because that's too worldly. All of these things, we must be meant to be playing with the material energy, or we wouldn't be here. We would just be in heaven, if you want to call it heaven, but the other side. We would be in a disembodied state right now. But we have a body, and we have this material 3D world. So, all that jazz. Higher message, 6 of Wands, and this is a card of success. It's hard for me to imagine this, but I would say that it's saying to take a bow, not to downplay your achievements, not to try to in order to fit in so that you don't attract ire from other people. I said it's hard for me to imagine that because you are the type who doesn't shy away from, being very self-expressive and proud, confident. You don't tend to downplay anything. So I don't know. There might be different Aries people out there, and some are more reticent than others. Also, in private relationships, well, I would say, let me just say this about career success. Maybe it's about believing that you deserve it. Maybe there's a part of you, as there often is for a lot of people of any sign, that, comes from past programming. You didn't really deserve that. The boss just favors you. You got that job because you're a man, or because, you know what I mean? Those kind of things and other people may even say those things to try to make you feel less deserving if you're the victor. And you have to kind of just brush those off and really believe that you deserve it. I was going to say, with personal relationships, to realize that the person who is a fire sign is the person you can have success with versus the earth sign. Now, understand that these are very generalized. And so I'm not speaking specifically to you, any one of you, even if some of these things really resonate. I had somebody write to me and they said, I don't think I would ever get a personal reading from you because you touched on 4 points and none of them had to do with my particular situation. And, so I do get these kinds of comments. There are so many millions of people of one sign. Actually, I think that I'm more confident in talking about things that would affect Aries on a universal level with astrology, because there are transits. These cards are highly symbolic. So even if some of this resonates, understand that it may not all be exactly as your situation. So don't think, oh my God, she's telling me to leave this Taurus person and he's the best thing that ever happened to me. No, I'm not saying that at all. But in general, earth sign people are too staid, or too I don't want to say laid back, because I think it's good to be laid back, but they may not be adventurous enough for somebody like an Aries. And they may be holding back. They may be more cautious and conservative. And you tend to like excitement. And so a fire sign person is going, either an Aries person, but in this case, I think this might relate to Leo. Well, let's just say you're Sagittarius, okay? Because I did get the Temperance card. That's another fire sign. Fire sign people light your fire, okay? So you really resonate with the type of energy that they generate. What crosses you is the Queen of Cups. And this could be, if this is a person in the picture, I'll say that in this particular instance, I believe this may have something to do with you not using your intuition to deal with your particular situation. You may be kind of, I don't know, allowing your ego to control you, or just being impulsive. So it's almost like your heart, your desires just coming forth and not thinking first. Sometimes your desires I think your desires really do point to you in the right direction, but impulsive behavior usually doesn't, because sometimes you're getting worked up about something that is a passing craze. It's not even something that you're really passionate about. It's just in the moment. But if this is another person, this could be a female boss who is playing games And with the Queen of Cups in the reverse position, we see the negative qualities of females in the emotional arena. So manipulation, moodiness, could be she might have a drinking problem and that's affecting her day situation where she's, coming off of her benders and having hangovers and things like that, or she is just very vindictive. But I think, you know what, I think the worst quality, and I can say this because I'm a woman, so I hope I never receive any kind of accusations of sexism. But I think one of the worst qualities of the feminine energy, and men can have this, trust me, is being, I was going to say biased, but what's that word? Favoritism. And you see this with in certain workplaces where you have a boss who is very, who plays favorites all the time. That thing, there's nothing more maddening than that. And you can feel, no matter what you can do everything by the book, and you can even extend yourself, and they will favor the person who maybe calls in sick all the time, and they're surly, and they will favor them over you because they have something against you that you don't even know what it is. It could be something really like, I was going to say random, but you know what I mean. Just something, you remind them of somebody, or, whatever. So that could be creating problems for you because you may be having success, but still having to deal with that. And the advice is the Five of Pentacles. Look at the area of your life where you tend to have pessimistic thinking. This is not typical of Aries at all. You guys would make wonderful life coaches by and large. And actually, Tony Robbins, I believe, is an Aries. Very early, probably on the cusp with Pisces. I think he's born on March 21st, but I think he's an Aries officially. And he's like, one of these self-help gurus. And he's very about self-empowerment. I don't know much about him, but he's very much about trying to do for self, And that to me is so important because these people that go around and tell you that, look at these people, they're doing all these things to you. They're oppressing you. How in the hell does that help anyone? You cannot, what are you supposed to do? Wait until they decide to not oppress you or not be prejudiced against you? It's just, to me, it's just terrible. And it's the exact opposite. Somebody like Tony Robbins really believes that you are in charge of your own destiny, ultimately, nobody else. And the choices you make are what determine your future. I hope I'm, representing him properly. But it's interesting because the Five of Pentacles relates to Mercury and Taurus. And some of you may have Mercury and Taurus because it's right next to your sign. So some of you may have rigid thinking, even though overall you're a very can-do person. And maybe it's only in one area of your life. Maybe it's your love life. Maybe your professional life is awesome. And in your love life, you're convinced that you're never going to find the right one. But if you've met a Sagittarian, we are awesome. So definitely the Sagittarius person is going to be great. So the outcome is the Six of Swords, moving to peace. Now, remember, I started this card with the Five of Wands, which was about combative energy. So how are you going to move into this peace, Aries? Is this going to be an internal thing, or are you relocating? Because that's a card that can indicate people who are relocating. And let's see about your fourth house, Cancer. Well, maybe back in June, some of you found out that your house had closed, and maybe you've been kind of wrangling things and you're going to be moving. I don't know. But how this relates to the rest of the cards, you're going to have to interpret, because it sounds like you're having a lot of success somehow. And I don't know exactly why you would be leaving a particular job unless you just finally have had enough and you decide to do something on your own. And by the way, don't look at this as all happening within the same month. In a personal relationship, yes, you may decide that if you have an earth sign person, you're just not seeing eye to eye and you're ready to move on. And maybe you're moving on to a Sagittarius or a fire sign. Okay, let's look at this ceremony card. Invocation. You can see it's a very altar. What has she got there? I can't see what that is. It looks like bread. Let me see. In this image, a woman kneels before an altar where a number of crystals are placed, light emanating from her hands. We see incense burning. Snake spirit rests nearby, and various ethereal beings appear in a wispy shroud of light about her head. All the while, the tapestry upon which she sits appears to be on fire, symbolizing the fiery passion brought on by the intense focus of spirit that has been invoked for this ceremony. Calling spirit forth in this way facilitates a direct and heartfelt sense of relatedness to Source. Whether through indifference, depression, life crisis, or any other manifestation of mental, emotional, or physical blockages, you have drifted from the intimacy with spirit for which you yearn. It is important to do what you can to regain an experience of spiritual power that is contained within you and all around you. Do so by conducting a ceremony, one that involves not only spirit but also material objects that you consider sacred. Set up an altar in a convenient area that is apart from your usual living space. Start with representations of the four major elements: earth, air, water, and fire. And then add just a few sacred objects. Set your intention for the ceremony, such as whether the purpose is for healing, celebration, or honoring a particular earth season or cycle. Then do an invocation to call upon your spirit guides. Breathe their presence and ask these divine beings to guide you throughout the process. Trust their guidance. Feel your heartbeat and keep breathing. Breath is the key to the actual experience of spirit, and creating a ceremony is the vehicle that supports this. All the while that I was reading that, I was thinking of the full moon in your sign. So for what that's worth, that might be the time when you feel called upon to engage in a ritual like this, to kind of signal the end of the old and into this new life of yours that may even involve a change in location. So anyway, Aries, I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have an awesome October. Bye.